Well, hello dear viewers and welcome to Level Up Reviews. This is Wolf and today I have something special for you. Wizardry 4 Return of Werdna. Let's jam! Last time I reviewed Wizardry 3 Legacy of Lilgammon. After finishing this game, Robert Woodhead and Sir Tak moved on to different projects. Robert Woodhead started working on newly released Macintosh. Of course, Woodhead wanted to put wizardry on Macintosh computers. He even managed to discover one of the first bugs on Macintosh. He contacted Apple team and he received the patch almost immediately. This made Robert Woodhead quite happy. So happy, in fact, that he went to the Apple headquarters and delivered some cookies for them. Pretty soon, he managed to put the game on Macintosh. And after this was done, he started thinking on next scenario, which would be Wizardry 4 Return of Werdna. This is one of the hardest games ever made, and if you can beat this game, congratulations, you have probably beaten hardest dungeon crawling RPG ever made. And surprisingly enough, masterminds behind this game were not the usual suspects. Roar Adams III was a writer for Computer Gaming World. He was one of the men that helped Richard Garriott with the Virtue system for Ultima 4, so he was quite creative. Add to that he was an exceptional player and the first person who managed to beat a very hard game called Time Zone. Ro had managed to make friends in computer gaming industry, which of course included Robert Woodhead. Once during their conversation, Ro mentioned to Robert that it would be interesting to play as a villain of the game instead of a hero, particularly as Werdna. Robert Woodhead loved the idea. He was interested in what Ro would come up with. So, Ro started coming up with level designs. It would be Robert Woodhead's job to put the game on the computer. This made development of the game much more complicated than what Robert Woodhead would expect. Sir Tak was developing the game on Japanese computer PC 9801. Machine was quite fast, but to develop wizardry on this computer, they of course needed Pascal, so Sir Tak actually had to buy a license for Pascal from Apple to use it on PC. According to Robert Woodhead, during the duration of the year, he would say that game would be done in a week. He wasn't lying, mind you, but unfortunately he would encounter more and more problems. Despite of all of this, Sir Tak did manage to release the game, which came out in May 15, 1987. And it was received quite well by the critics. Despite of acknowledging the fact that game was quite hard, Computer Gaming World gave it high praises. But person who wrote the article, Scorpia, also playtested the game, so take it as you will. Space Gamer / Fantasy Gamer praised the game and said that it should have been the best game of the year. But here was something Robert Woodhead and Sir Tak did not bring into the equation. As I said before, Ro Adams was an exceptional gamer, and the game that he designed was for the players of his own level, which meant most of the players could not beat this game, or in some cases, they could not even get out of the starting level. So, information about the game spread by word of mouth, and sales seriously suffered because of this. Most gamers did not want this kind of challenge. Robert Woodhead thought that players were just being unreasonable and childish, and they had to toughen it out and beat the game. Robert Sir Tak, on the other hand, was very disappointed in his team. He thought game suffered because of the pride of the creators, and they just wanted to brag about creating the hardest game ever made. And I get both sides. I get it. Robert Woodhead wanted creative freedom. After all, developing the games is somewhat of an art. Not to mention, there is a place for the games made for hardcore gamers as well. But Robert Sir Tak had a point as well. This was business after all. There were not that many hardcore gamers in the 80s, and of course, you want return on your investment, especially since Sir Tak bought license still for Pascal. Anyways, enough with the negative, let's get to the positive. The story of the game is very interesting. It is told from the perspective of Werdna. Gods were ready to return to the world, but mysterious amulet stops their return. Of course, evil wizard Werdna wants to get hold of it. He buys a mystic scroll, which informs him that only way to grasp the amulet is to get a mithril gauntlet, which he finds. But unbeknownst to him, the seller of the scroll had also made a copy which he sold to Trevor. Trevor also found mithril gauntlets and recovered the amulet. Of course, as you know from the first game, Werdna steals the amulet and hides in the dungeon. One day, as he's hosting a vampire lord and his minions, party of adventurers burst in and cut Werdna down. Final words that he hears is a name, Hawkwind. Although they killed him, adventurers could not destroy Werdna's body, so that he couldn't be revived, they buried him deep in the earth, surrounding his body with many guards. Each level is very different and also extremely hard. Most of the enemies here are created by the players, which Surtak pulled from the floppy disks that players sent in. You start a game on level 10 and climb up. On each level, there is a pentagram. This will let Werdna regain some of his powers. You also can summon the monsters and save the game here. You get 8 save slots, but be careful saving. Doing this will revive all the monsters on the level. There is a huge variety of the monsters you can summon, each with different skills. This being said, you need right monsters on the certain levels. Reason why so many people failed to get out of the level 10 is the fact that you actually need to summon priests. You see, only they can cast a spell which reveals a way. Many players could not figure this out. Add to that you're constantly bombarded by extremely powerful enemies. You will also encounter an incredibly tough puzzles in this game, and all of this makes Wizardry 4 a pain to get through. You have ninjas who can kill you in one shot, and Ghost of Trevor who also immediately kills you if he discovers you. A lot of this game will depend on luck, not just skills. Not to mention, you pretty much only control Werdna, and most monsters have the will of their own. Most interesting level for me is level 8. There are bombs all around this level, and you need to navigate through them. On the higher levels, you will encounter tougher opponents, like Council of Barons and Council of Dukes. One of the toughest of them all will be Soft Talk All-Star Team, who were first introduced in Softline magazine in March of 1982 in the article Raw Adams wrote. Final boss is Hawkwind, who is a ninja elf. He is quite tough, but to be honest with you, every time I fought him, I got really lucky. This game actually has 3 endings, Evil, Good and Grandmaster. But it's pretty obvious that Grandmaster ending is intended to be a real one. You discover that God Kaderto is fake and is manipulated by High Priest. Of course, it goes without saying that you manage to recover the amulet at the end. After doing all of this, as usual, you get the congratulations screen, and that's pretty much the end of the game. Wizardry 4 Return of Werdna is a beast of its own, and it really gives you a brand new appreciation for evil wizards. Man, they apparently go through a lot. It is an exceptional game, although admittedly this game is not for everyone. I would recommend this game only to the hardcore RPG fans. As far as I'm concerned, at this point, Wizardry series has truly stolen my heart. And shout out to my new subscriber, Be in the Moment, and all the rest of you whose names unfortunately I do not see. Thank you for subscribing. If you like my video, please like, share and subscribe. And don't forget to leave a comment. Thank you very much.